Okay, so the FTX CEO, as we already know, Sam Bankman-Fried, pretty much has said that he is not a fraud. As we all know, the FTX collapse has cost thousands of people millions on millions of dollars. The celebrities are so mad because they've never been involved in any type of pump and dump scheme or any type of crypto scheme. And, it's just bad everywhere. I'm seeing that Graham Stephan was promoting it. I'm seeing Meet Kevin. A lot of the guys that, somebody like me would kind of, look up to a little bit in this YouTube kind of finance space. I don't really give too much financial advice. Sometimes I'll talk about stock stuff, but, I don't really push anything like that. I'm more so tell the news and say, let's talk about it. Or if I think something's good, I'll let you know kind of what I'm doing. But let's take a look into it. Let me know, do you guys think this was really fraud? Do you really think that he thought that his cryptocurrency was really going to be, the crypto of the century? And it just kind of had a bad period. It just kind of, went bad. So let's take a look into that. Let's take a look in the article, see what's going on with that. Okay, so it says broke and down to one credit card. Dang, that kind of hurts because, I'm not broke at all, but I've got one credit card. Former FTX CEO Sam Bankman-Fried claims he's committed no fraud. And this is making a lot of people mad because they looking at it like, man, you done lost me all this money. What you mean it's not fraud? So let's see what it says. It says former FTX CEO Sam Bankman-Fried, and possibly the understatement of 2022, said Wednesday, "I've had a bad month." Yeah, he's had a terrible month. Bad is not even close to how you could describe that. Now it says the former billionaire added that he didn't do a good job at upholding his responsibilities to regulators, customers, and investors in a hotly anticipated conversation with CNBC's Andrew Ross Sorkin at the Deal Book Summit. Now it says Bankman-Fried's FTX imploded in mid-November after CoinDesk reported irregularities at the company's balance sheets. The company filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in Delaware on November 11th. So you already know, a complete fail as a company. Anytime in business or with a company or a corporation, anytime it comes out that the numbers that you have in the books aren't accurate, that's always going to deter investors away. It's not even at that point like trading on the market and losing money because traders are just selling. It's more so like traders are selling because they know that the information that they may be receiving, smart investors will look at those balance sheets. They will look at that profit versus loss. They will look at, operating expenses, things like that. And if you can't actually look at a company and see its accurate numbers, then there's no way for you to predict how the stock would move, long term or short term. So it's an interesting thing, and pretty much anytime a company's numbers just aren't managed correctly, it's always going to drop the stock price dramatically, because with stocks, the main thing that you need to be able to see is the balance sheet, and you need to be very lucid and very clear and able to see that. And if you can't, not only is the accounting team making big mistakes, but the company is, and it will show in their numbers. Now it says, "I didn't ever try to commit fraud on anyone," Bankman-Fried says. "I saw it as a thriving business, and I was shocked by what happened this month." I mean, of course he's gonna say that though, of course he is. The political mega donor said he was down $100,000 and had one working credit card left. "We completely failed on risk. That feels pretty embarrassing in retrospect." You definitely failed in risk, and it's definitely embarrassing because, let's be real here, this is like the biggest story in the crypto market since possibly the crypto market, you know what I'm saying? Just because so many celebrities and big names were involved in not only promoting this, but actually putting their own hard-earned money into this. And like I said, it's just another bad look on crypto. Crypto's always getting literally pooped on. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. Governments shouldn't like crypto because it's literally deregulated currency. So governments don't like crypto, which means the news isn't really going to promote crypto. And with it also being so unregulated, obviously the scammers are going to come out. The bad guys are going to come out the woodworks trying to get some money. You know what I'm saying? And that's exactly what they did. And that's why crypto has just such a bad name now. I hate that it does, but I understand why it does. Now, Sorkin asked Bankman-Fried what motivated his acquisitions in the crypto industry, giving the size of Almada's borrowing from companies Bankman-Fried intended to acquire. Bankman-Fried claims that he believed that by the middle of 2022, Alameda had repaid all lines of credit to various borrowing desks, but Alameda still owns BlockFi over $670 million, according to court filings. Now, we're past, we're past halfway through 2022. There is no time left in 2022. If you haven't got your Christmas presents, you better start getting them now, because Christmas is tick-tocking. It's December 1st. Christmas is right around the corner. The end of the year is here, and we will be celebrating on January 1st, because 2022 has been a horrible year. You feel me? It's not been a good year, but yeah, $670 million he's talking about. He only has one credit card in his personal account, all of that. That's not getting paid. Let's keep it real. That's not getting paid. They filed for bankruptcy. Like, somebody going to jail. But okay, so Sorkin asked the former billionaire, "What are your lawyers?" Great question. What are your lawyers telling you right now? Are they suggesting it's a good idea for you to be speaking? No, they're very much not. Yeah, he should not really be doing too much speaking. I wouldn't, because at that point, all he's doing is incriminating himself. He's already been in a bad position just by seeing the price of FTX. He's already been kind of exposed, So at that point, it's kind of like when you do a crime and you get arrested for it. By talking to the police, at that point, you're just hurting yourself if you're doing it without a lawyer. Just make sure your lawyer's present. And most of the time, the lawyer is going to say, let me get all the evidence together. Let me make sure we get your case to figure out everything that's going on. And then we'll start talking as a collective. And he said, the time I never knew there was a problem was, the time I really knew there was a problem was November 6th. He said after Ameda's sizable FTT position was exposed by CoinDesk. When we looked at that, there was a potential serious problem. Ameda had taken a huge hit. We were seeing a run on the bank start. Now, he said, I was nervous when the Alameda balance sheet was exposed by CoinDesk, Bankman-Fried said, but expected the damage was going to be limited to Ameda, not an existential crisis for FTX. Now, Sorkin asked Bankman-Fried why FTX and Bankman-Fried even had access to customer money. That's a good question. It's a good question. And he says, I wasn't running Alameda. I don't know exactly what was going on, and I didn't know the size of their position. A lot of these things I've learned over the last month in the days leading up to bankruptcy. And, I mean, I can kind of understand where he's coming from here, but these are the kind of things that you need to understand. These are the kind of questions that you need to ask, because they can have such a big impact, especially when you're dealing with millions, if not billions of dollars. Like, these are questions you need to be able to, snap your fingers and just answer, Now, it says new leadership at FTX said that Bankman-Fried exercised significant control over the entire empire, kind of like an Elon Musk type thing. And as you guys know, traditionally, it's good when a company is run almost like a democracy. It'd be great if you have one great leader, your Elon Musks, your Elon Musk, your Tim Cooks, all of these types of people, your Mark Zuckerberg. It can be great when obviously they're the head. They're the people that care about the company the most. A lot of times they're the people who really got the company up from the ground. But you always want to have a little somebody in their ear. You always want to have a little somebody in their ear who can kind of advise them. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, well, I don't know if we should do this. Your ego's getting involved, because a lot of times ego can get involved. And a lot of times when you do raise a company from the ground up, you don't see it as a company. You don't see it as a corporation, as a separate entity to you. You see it as kind of like your baby, and you'll kind of have more of an emotional aspect of it than a practical aspect of it, because you did raise it from the ground up, which just makes sense. Like, that's why also in government, we have a form of checks and balances. We have Congress, we have the Senate, because if the president was allowed to just make all of the rules himself, then if he had a bad idea, no one would be able to call him out on it. And eventually that would end up ruining the nation. let's get back into it. Now it says Sorkin pressed Bankman-Fried on Alameda's gambling on questionable cryptocurrencies, reading a letter out from an investor who lost his life savings of $2 million. That's what makes this so sad. You know, that's what really makes this such a big deal, is not really the NBA players that invest. Excuse me. Like my dad was saying, not really the NBA players who may have invested and lost $2 million, but you make $30 million a year. They can get that back. It's the people who invested their life savings, the people who had, $50,000 in savings or $50,000 to their name, and they invest $20,000, and now they making lifestyle changes. Now they can't pay their rent, stuff like that. I think it's extremely irresponsible. Don't get me wrong, and do not do something like that. But when that happens, that's what's really sad. Those are the people who are really hurt by all of this. It's not the millionaires. It's not the billionaires. It's the average person who was manipulated into making these bad trading decisions. You have to remember, too, I'm a market guy. A lot of you guys who watch me are market guys, but everybody in the world isn't like that. If somebody comes up to them and they tell them something's a good, safe investment, they have certain numbers, they pull up certain information to back what they're saying, a lot of people really will invest in it. Now it says the U.S. platform is fully solvent and funded, Bankman-Fried claimed. I believe withdrawals could be opened up today and made whole. He said, can I ask you about drugs? Ooh, I hope he wasn't spending none of these people money on some drugs now. Now, Bankman-Fried responded, it's funny hearing this. I have half a glass of alcohol a year. A good response. And that's like nothing. I guess he probably does it at Christmas. A little Christmas half glass of whiskey. I see you. I like it. Keep you nice and focused. As you guys know, I be drinking, but I don't drink all the time. Now, the FTX founder repudiated claims of wild partying. Wild partying. Repudiated partying. But wild partying and off-label drug use, saying that FTX functions consisted of board games or dinner parties. Okay. So obviously, people were thinking that they were doing bad things with the money, and he's saying that, these were pretty normal, middle school parties with a little pizza, a little Kool-Aid jammer, and a little board games, play a little Twister, a little Stratego, you feel me? So it says Bankman-Fried claimed he was unaware of the Alameda exposure. In 2019, he said 40% of FTX's volume was from Alameda, which is why it would be so important for you to understand the ins and outs of it. Now it says by 2022, Bankman-Fried claimed the number was down to 2%, which led him to believe that FTX's exposure was lessened, which makes sense. But, how much of this is cap? Throw on the cap, like how much of this is cap? I mean, this man's doing damage control right now. He's not going to say something incriminating now because he's already down so bad. Now, Sorkin continued to press Bankman-Fried. Good. I like this Sorkin guy. On the lending of customer assets, Bankman-Fried demurred. In 2018, FTX didn't have bank accounts. Bankman-Fried said as justification for why users were asked to wire funds to an account in Alameda's name instead of directly to FTX. Oh, wow. See, that's just weird, though. I see what they mean, though. If these are two different separate entities, you should not be sending your money to a different entity than the one that you actually want to send money to because they don't have bank accounts. And also, what kind of company has a place where you're not able to actually send it directly money? That should have been a red flag for everybody in general. Let's say I'm trying to pay Instagram or something. If I pay Instagram and on the statement it says Facebook on it, because when my thing comes in it says Facebook, I'd be a little because I believe that there's still, even though Facebook does own Instagram, there's still separate entities. You know what I'm saying? The same way, whereas if, let's say, Facebook gets sued or something, you're normally traditionally suing the, not LLC, but the corporation of Facebook, and not necessarily Instagram. They're a little bit separate. They obviously can affect each other, but they are still separate entities. Bankman-Fried has engaged with the media sporadically. He said, F regulators, he told Vox reporter in a Twitter message. I mean, crypto guy, not liking the regulators. I mean, that's kind of what crypto is about, you know what I'm saying? No regulation. So, I mean, I feel him. He said, I effed up, he wrote in another tweet. Now it says, FTX was once hailed as the poster child of responsible crypto. Bad how that turned out. Regulators and lawmakers look to Bankman-Fried as the future of crypto regulation, a reputation that Bankman-Fried cultivated through appearances before Congress and deepened through generous political contributions. And as we all know, these generous political contributions really did help him look like a good guy, like he was really there for the people, there for creating a cryptocurrency that would actually be away from fraud, away from, the pump and dump schemes and all the negativity that we see that really comes with the, crypto market and that entire crypto environment. Now, Bankman-Fried was already known as one of the largest donors to the Democratic candidates. He claimed in a recent interview that he gave equally generously to the Republican causes through so-called dark pool contributions. Reporters, Bankman-Fried said, freak the F out if you donate to Republicans. I mean, at that point, if you're just giving money to the Democrats and you're just giving money to the Republicans, at that point, that's where I always say, like, why don't people just worry about the issues at hand? Like, if you want to give money somewhere, why don't you give it to, like, let's say you're an advocate for gun control. Why don't you give money to, people who would advocate, for gun control or whatever, basically whatever causes that you're, really, really caring about. If you're worried about, let's say with the railroad industry right now, like we were talking about yesterday, Joseph Biden versus the railroad industry and how the railroad workers are going to have to strike. Maybe you could focus your money into the certain ideas that you have or the certain political points that when you have that much money, you can actually really help out not only companies, you can help out entire industries in a certain type of way. So I understand if he's a Democrat giving money to the Democratic people, but if you give let's say you give $100 million to the Democrats and you give $100 million to the Republicans, they're just going to use that money against each other. And it's kind of canceling it out to where it's like, what did you really accomplish? So I think if you have that much money, you should definitely just think about the facts, like each individual point. But anyways, what do you guys think? Do you guys think this FTX is kind of like how he said it, and it just happened to be an unfortunate amount of circumstances where he was just kind of inexperienced? He didn't look at the hire company feeding into FTX, or do you guys think this was all kind of planned? It was kind of a pump and dump strategy. It was fraudulent from from the beginning. They were using the money incorrectly, taking customers' money and doing things with it that they weren't supposed to. Let me know. Are you on Sam? I mean, no one's on his side, but are you on the side of giving him the benefit of the doubt? Are you on the side of, nah, man, this dude he's just trying to save face right now, and it's not a good look. You know what I'm saying? So like, comment, subscribe. As you guys know, we're doing daily business news content. I love all the conversations you guys be having and all the messages you guys be having for me. Also, you guys already know if I'm wrong on something or a certain point like that, definitely correct me, let me know, because I'm out here just trying to learn just like you guys are. I just want to get the conversation started and have us have a nice, safe place to do that. So like, comment, subscribe, all of that, so we can really get this channel going. You guys all have a great day, and maybe hold off on investing in some crypto for a little bit.